Okay, in this video we're going to cut some sections and then I'm going to refer you to your book for how to detail those sections. So to create a section, we're going to go to the View tab and we're going to click on Section. We want a building section. So first, if you take a look at your floor plan, you're going to see that the section, or your drawing set, excuse me, the section is cutting through this porch here. So we're going to draw a section that goes from this wall through this door through the porch. And then in order to view that section, one of two ways: you scroll down, hit plus, double click on the section, and then there's the section right there. Or you can, in plan view, you can right click on this and say go to view. And then it goes to your section. So this is my building section. I'm just going to delete these. Sorry, these were extras that I had. So you can see that we have our sill plate, our header, here's our wall, there's the structure coming down from our wall. This is our joist system is in here. To make it a little clearer, set it to fine, and then you can see everything a little bit better. Okay, so now I'm going to refer you to your textbook, excuse me. So if you flip to pages 7-19 to 7-33, it will show you how to add insulation into the sections. And if you take a look at your drawing set, drawing A-301, all of the hatches and everything in here, this is what I expect to see on your drawing set as well. So put this insulation in here, put the hatch in for the wood plates, put the concrete hatching in there. I'll go over a little bit of it with you, but I do want you to use your book as a reference. So if I'm right here, I can see my concrete hatch, and I just want to keep referring back to my drawing. That's what my drawing looks like. However, I cannot see the concrete hatch on the wall behind. So that might be something I have to edit in my Revit drawing, where this wall hatch for the concrete in the background is not showing. And you can take a look at your visibility and graphics settings. You could type VG on your keyboard, and you could see what the walls are showing up as. So are there patterns attached to the walls? Maybe you could make those uncheck them as visible and hit apply. That seems to turn it off in the background, which looks appropriate. Again, you're just looking at this drawing. The other thing that I can't see is the footing in the background. So actually, what this should be is a hidden line back here. So if there's a way to do that, or if you just simply want to right click and say hide and view elements so that that doesn't show and you're only looking at those elements, you could do that as well. Alright, now let's take a look at the insulation. So just really quick, I'll just give you a rundown of that. You're going to go to annotate, and you see there's insulation here. You're going to define the width of the insulation. So if these are 2x4 walls, it would be 3.5. And you'll just start from the center point of the wall, and then you'll run that insulation up to the top of the wall. Now it does look like my wall must have been a little bit thicker, so I am going to actually put in 4 inches. That doesn't look right. How about 4.5 inches? Oh, you know what? Our walls were actually 2x6s, weren't they? So it's going to be 5.5 inches. Whew, boy, that was crazy. Alright, and then for the floor system, the same thing. So this is where our floor system is. If you want to run insulation in there, our floor is a 2x10, so 9.25 inches, you'll run that insulation through the floor. Again, just make sure that you're referring back to the drawing so that you can see where that insulation goes. Going back to Revit, let's take a look at these. So this is our header and this is our sill, and these should have X's in them. So if I hit edit type, let's see if there's anything I can change in here. Nothing that I see, so what I'm going to do is go to annotate, use detail lines, use thin lines, and I am going to draw an X inside of this box, and that X just indicates that it's rough cut lumber. Okay, so we'll do that, and you'll do it on this side, and you also want to do it on this side over here as well with this sill plate and that header. We'll make sure that everything else looks okay, so we'll refer back to our drawing. It looks like these beams also need the X's in there, so we'll go back and we'll add the detail line, and you can add the X's in here. And then you can even just copy and paste them over. So copy multiple, and then just copy them right over through the beams. So everywhere you have that cut lumber, again, you're just referencing back to the sketch that you have right here. Now you will see that there's some headers and some windowsills that are drawn in this section, but we didn't draw them in Revit. So what you can do for that is you can come on over and you can just, if you have a door like I have here, you can draw a detail line. For that detail line, you're selecting thin lines, and we are going to go up 5.5 inches and over 1.5 inches. And this is going to be the lumber for our header. So you can just sketch it in there, and then we'll copy that over across. Oops, sorry, I didn't select the right endpoint. Rushing. Oops, and now I really messed it up. Okay, so you get the point. We'll just copy. I select the right endpoint, and then keep copying those over, and then go ahead and put the X's in there to represent the header. So it goes all the way across the stud. So the stud starts here and it ends here, and then you just put those 2x6s across, and that's the header for the door. The one thing that you're going to see on your drawing is that there is a top plate at the top of the wall because there's a ceiling in here. I'm going to pretend like we don't have a ceiling in our drawing that we did. What we're going to have instead is we're just going to have that be a vaulted ceiling that goes right up to the roof here. Okay, so I showed you how to add some of the detail. Please again reference the drawing so that you can add the rest of the detail and make sure the hatches are showing up as shown. Now, the other thing that you want to do is all of these vertical dimensions that you see, you want to show those. You want to label the drawing just as you see here, so label the sill plate, label the foundation, the joist, the beams, and then the headers that you have, and then all the items with the porch. Label the studs. You won't label the ceiling because you don't have a ceiling joist in here, but you will label the roofing, so the sheathing, the felt, the shingles, and all of that information. And then also put on there the the slope of the roof. Okay, so that's one section that we need. The second section that we need is going to be the front porch detail like we have on sheet A-401. So let's take a look. We're going to go back to our first floor plan, and now we want a section that cuts just through this porch, and if you take a look at it, it's looking at the side of the porch and the roof. So we're going to go back to our floor plan. We're going to go to View, Section, and then we would like a section that's going to cut through and look at our porch, and I'm just going to flip it here. It doesn't look like it cuts through the door. I'm going to click on the section and right click and say Go to View. Okay, so this is the section through our porch. Make sure the detail level is set to fine or it won't read properly. Alright, and then I would also look at the scale of the drawing. So the scale of this appears to be 1/2 of an inch equals a foot. So go ahead and change that. And you'll notice it becomes a little easier to read your datums. Now make sure your datums aren't overlapping, so you have to fix that in every drawing that you have. The top of pier and top of foundation, you may want to hide those, or you can keep them. The top of pier I'm going to hide because it isn't referencing anything on this drawing. So I'm going to say hide in view. Elements top of foundation is being referenced, so I'll keep it. This foundation is not being referenced, so I'm going to hide it. So you guys get what I'm doing? Top of foundation is connecting to something, and then bottom of footing is connecting to something. So everything else is legitimate. So I am going to go ahead, except for roof, and I'm going to leave the rest of them on there. Okay, so now what you need to do is, again, similar to what we just did in the previous exercise, add that the X's for the rough cut lumber, make sure that the hatch pattern's showing for all of the concrete, add the insulation here, and then make sure that you label all of the items just as they are shown on this drawing. So for our wood, we're going to put an X through here and here. We've got this one back here, annotate, detail line. This is our ledger board, so we're going to need an X through that. Now you guys should be able to look at the drawings and translate what I'm doing onto your drawing. That's all I'm doing, is just looking at the drawings that were given to us. Okay, but I'll start you off just a little bit because I want you to get a good visual. All right, so some of these things you are adding. The insulation I already showed you how to add, and then you're adding text to each of these items. So that would be annotate, text, adding a leader line, and then you're going to click. Let's say if like this is an item you have to label, you'll drag it out, click, pull this out a little bit, click, and then all in caps you type 4x4 wood post or whatever it says on the drawing there, the reference, and then just click into space and then it will stay there. So for example, we have something that says 2x8 floor joist, so let's label that. We're going to go text, select this, click on the joist, I actually like to pull it to the outside of my drawing. Click on the joist, pull it out. See how the text is lining up? I like to do that too. Okay, and then we're going to write, sorry, just screwed up. Let me do that again. Joist, come out. So it'll be 2x8 floor joists. And notice how I spelled something wrong. So I'm going to leave it like that for a minute. And then I'm going to write at 16 inches OC. Okay, and then click into space. So a couple of things to pay attention to. Make sure that your text does not overlap the datum lines. Make sure your arrow is actually pointing to whatever you're trying to label. Line up the items like I did, so all your text lines up on one side of the page. This is expected in architecture firms. It just makes reading the drawings a lot easier. And then also make sure everything is spelled correctly. So you see check spelling right here. Go ahead and click it and see I spelled joist wrong. I can change that, and then I can run through the rest of them. OC is right on center. I'm going to ignore and then hit close. Okay. All right, and then the last section that we need to take is through the porch. So if we look, oh, sorry, I was looking at the deck before. So if we take a look at the porch, we're going to have to cut an elevation or a section through that. So we'll go back to Revit, back to our first floor plan, and we're going to go to View, Section, and then it looks like that we're cutting a section through the porch that's running, actually looks like it's running this way. And I'm going to flip a couple things because I don't want the head to be up there. I'm going to undo. I'm going to draw it the right way. I'm going to draw it, sorry, from top to bottom. And then I'm going to say right click on it and say go to view. And then this is my porch section that I'm looking at. So again, take a look over here. It's a 1/2 inch scale. You can change your scale to a 1/2 inch first off. Organize all of these. What do you need? You need bottom of foundation or top of footing. Foundation isn't reference anything, hide it. Top of pier isn't, it looks like it's actually referencing some of the tops of those. I'm going to keep it. Top of foundation is being referenced, I'm going to keep that. First floor, top of wall, and then roof doesn't look like it's referenced anything, so I'm going to hide it. And then I'm going to pull all of these out because they're on top of my drawing a little bit. Still are. Make sure they're clear of the drawing, and then I can start labeling items. Also make sure that you have the fine level of detail set. And then you can label and you can add the insulation. Okay, so that's the sections. What I expect you to do is to look at the drawings, label things as they're shown, add the hatches as shown, and then if you have questions on that, please post them to the Ask the Class forum sooner rather than later. I also want you to label the drawings as shown, but I'm going to get to that in the next video.